From 2019 to 2022, according to my friends at Gallup, the share of people under 35 who reported being engaged with their jobs dropped from 37 to 33%. The lowest level since 2011. At the same time, the percentage of people who reported being actively engaged actively disengaged is all negative. Actively disengaged rose from 17% from 12%. So disengagement is increasing, engagement is dropping. It's all heading towards the same direction. And this is bad for companies, which means it's going to be bad for the economy, which means it's going to be bad for you. In other words, how many of you remember being in school where one problem student or person on the team got everybody else in trouble? Now, I played sports growing up. And I came from an old school group of coaches, and Bob's in the control room today. Bob, I know you and I both played sports growing up. We come from an old school era, and I was in an era that if one guy on the team was slacking on the running, we all had to run more. I'm busting my butt, Bob. I want to get done. I want to run and puke. Thank you very much. And there's my buddy over there who's not giving it his all. And the coach goes, if everybody's not giving it their all, everybody's running more. You know what I'm talking about? We experienced that. You know, those are the good old days where, like, you develop grit because they forced it on you. You know what I'm talking about? You know, back in that day, if you threw up running, you kept running. You were running through your vomit. That's what it was like. All right, I'm grossing some of you out. But that's good old-fashioned grit, Alex. I know you don't like the image, but that's what it was. You were expected, Bob, if you were going to chuck it, you chucked it while you were running. So you had an option. Chuck on the guy to my left or chuck on the guy to my right, or I just chuck going forward and run into it, and that's what you did. So, how in the world did I get on that? Sometimes even I don't know how I get on these rabbit trails, right? But the point I was making, I know how I got there. It's that when you have millennials and Gen Zers increasingly disengaged at work, they're dragging everybody down, just like the teammate did. The teammate wasn't giving their all, so everybody got punished. If you got a teammate who's out of shape and can't defend in crunch time, the team loses because he didn't suck it up. That's why the coach did that, by the way. So I want to make sure you understand this. Don't hear this data and go, well, yeah, it is what it is, Ken. No, it isn't. This is going to affect all of us. Gallup estimates that it costs the global economy $7.8 trillion every year in lost productivity. This last year in lost productivity. And then you got a lot of young workers who are stepping away because they're looking for fulfillment. They're not disengaged because they're lazy and shiftless. See, that's what you got to be careful of. So when I put data out like this, if you're not careful, guys like in my generation be like, I'm lazy, snowflake millennials. That's a generalization, and quite frankly, it's wrong. Here's what's going on. What's causing the disengagement? Here we go. They don't feel cared about. They don't have someone who's encouraging their development. They don't feel like they have opportunities to learn and grow. They don't have a best friend at work. And they don't believe that their opinions count. Now, you just roll through that list, and that is not limited to millennials and Gen Zers. But now you try to picture showing up every day in this environment. Let me say it again, and if you have to, close your eyes. Yeah, don't feel cared for. No one's encouraged me to get better. No opportunities to learn anything different, do anything with it. I don't have a really good friend at work. And I just don't think my opinion matters. Come on. It's an invitation to leave. And that's what they're doing. So leaders have to understand this, but you have to understand this about you as well. If you're not in a leadership position, you've got to understand, wait a second. How engaged am I? Where am I at on these? I mean, this is really a good checklist. And this is from the data, by the way. Are you in an office environment where you feel like the company leaders care about you as a person? Now, it doesn't have to be, best friends, it's not that. It just needs to be that they're aware of who you are and what's going on, that they care about you. When you've had a rough day, they've stepped up for you. You know when you're cared for. Do you have opportunities to learn and then do something with that knowledge? So what are some of the factors that have contributed to this? Well, first, we have to always start with leadership. You look at those factors that I just listed out. It is the leader's responsibility to make people feel cared for. It is the leader's responsibility to challenge and push people to learn, grow, and be able to do something with it. It is the leader's responsibility to create an environment where coworkers like each other. It is the leader's responsibility to make sure that everybody's heard. So it starts with leaders. Now let's look at what workers are doing and why they're doing it. A big part of this was the mass shift to work from home. It's shifting back now. The other thing is all of the digital tools like Slack and text and everything else in Zoom, we've taken away the personal connection. And part of the reason you're not engaged is because you're not acting like a human.